welcome to Tako Talk. My name is Stephen Tako, anti-bullying advocate, author of Motivated to Act, and the creator of Junga, the Dancing Yeti. So, on each show, I have guests come in with me. I've got Adrianna Reo here today. Reo, did I pronounce that correctly?
Yes.
Thank you very much. And so I've met Adrianna at Maurice Domino's boot camp, I believe it was.
Correct, yes.
And in fact, we had Maurice on one of our episodes here recently.
Right.
And great talker. And so, you know, when you start meeting people like Maurice, all of a sudden, next thing you know, he introduces me to Heidi, and then Heidi introduces me to you, and you know, and just like you start networking with all these positive people.
Right, yes.
And for me, as a talk show host, it's great now because I have this plethora of guests like yourself that I can bring on the show. So what we talk about is bullying, and most of us have some sort of story as to, you know, we've been bullied ourselves, or our kids have been bullied, or as an educator or motivational speaker or somebody working for a nonprofit, we tend to run into people that have been victims of bullying.
True.
And a lot of people are suffering. Even as adults, they're still suffering as stuff that happened to them when they were a kid.
Right,
from things. So I want to say welcome so much to Adrianna for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you bet. And so if you can just tell us and the viewing audience here a little bit about yourself and what your mission is and why you're here.
Well, my name is Adrianna Reo, and I started a small business, a philanthropic business. I designed a business plan that would protect and help and empower homeless children. I started this in a very small way, but I started going to different homeless shelters. And I learned so much. I learned that...
So you volunteered? You just went to...
No, I would just go there and speak to the director to find out who comes here.
Right.
Why do they come here? Is it families? Is it only the children? Do they live here? How long do they get to stay? I just wanted to learn more. And the one thing that, and this was in Omaha, I went to see my daughter who goes to Creighton University, and I went to one of the shelters because she had done some volunteering work there. And I set up an appointment with this woman, and she was telling me the story about these homeless children and homeless families. And she said to me, because I donate backpacks to homeless children, that's my thing. Fill them with school supplies, but they were very, you could tell that they were donated because they were all the same color.
The backpacks?
The backpacks. You know, like sometimes, you know, like the gas company will have an excess amount of backpacks. So they send them to the shelters. They give them to the children. So obvious that they're donated, right? And so obvious that they're homeless or poor.
So the other kids will see that this kid has a donated backpack.
Exactly.
And will that somehow make them like
Targets.
a target?
A target for bullying for being poor. And when she said that to me, at first my backpacks were sort of like that because they had my logo. It said the Rio Backpack Company because I wanted people to know. But when she said that to me, I thought, oh, how selfish of me. I have to change that. So now I buy beautiful backpacks that I know will last for the entire year. Empower the children to be able to do their homework, to be able to participate in the classroom, but at the very least, to be able to blend in with everybody else. So they're not bullied because they're poor.
Right.
They already have so many bad things against them, so many sad things against them. A lot of the times they smell, they're hungry, they don't have an address, and they know it, and they think the world knows it. But if they have a beautiful backpack, and they know that backpack is filled with hopes, it's filled with dreams, and the expectation that they have to do well in school.
Now, you bring up the beautiful backpack, and I have to throw this out there because it just popped into my head. I remember reading about, like, years ago, these kids had these like really fancy, expensive tennis shoes that were donated to them, and kids actually got beat up and their shoes stolen.
Right. Yeah.
So have you ever, I mean, I hope that this hasn't ever happened, but I mean, has anything like that ever happened where the kids have these have a backpack and somebody like threatens them to take their backpack?
No, because my backpacks are the type that any other parent would buy for their child.
Okay.
So no, they're not like crazy expensive and fancy,
They don't have a bunch of bling on them?
No, not at all. Not at all. They're just perfect for them to be able to blend in with everybody else.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty
and that's
of
what you
them.
want.
Exactly.
You want them to just blend in and be able to adjust well in school and have one less thing for them to worry about.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now, how did you what inspired you to get involved with this? I mean, have you ever been bullied, or like when you were growing up, did you ever witness it?
I was bullied when we moved to the United States. I'm from Latin America, and I didn't know any English, and kids bullied me like crazy for like 2 years. It was so bad.
But you didn't know any English?
None. I didn't even know how to say hi.
Well, how did you go to school?
Well, I had to go to school. It's the law here in the United
Right.
States. But when we moved to Maryland.
What grade were you in?
I was in 5th grade.
5th grade.
And there were some kids that, back in Maryland, you have to take the bus to school.
Yeah.
And I remember my very first day, I was in line, no English at all. And I'm hearing everybody, I'm 11 years old.
That must have been terrifying.
It was horrible.
Jeez.
And 3 girls came up to me, and they knew, that I was the new kid. They didn't know that I didn't know English. And they started talking, blah, 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 blah. And my first reaction was, no hablo inglés. That was the first thing I said. And after that was it. I was their target. And they bullied me for a couple of years until we moved out of there. It was horrible. I couldn't hide from it. I couldn't get away from it. It was...
I've heard that girls, and I had a tough time with boys bullying me and picking on me and whatever, but I've heard that girls can be really vicious.
They really are. They really can be. And my thing, more than anything, my daughter was bullied at one point in school, and she would come. She and I had a really close relationship. She was in maybe 6th, 7th grade, so she started telling me that this girl would make fun of her, and she would say things. And it was during the time that bullying became the word, because and it's not good to bully. It was during that time that it became a popular word, and so I told her we would practice together. I would tell her, okay, if she says this is what you're going to say. Just
So
have a
coached
comeback.
her.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we did a lot of that. And one day, this girl was just vicious. She was so mean to her. And eventually I told her, you know what, this is what you have to tell her. Look at her and tell her, you know what, you're a bully, and walk away. Do you know that worked? Nobody wants to be, especially a girl, doesn't want to be known as a bully. They don't want to know that they're mean.
So she said, you're a bully, and then all of a sudden
stopped.
the girl realized, because I guess a lot of people don't even realize that they are bullying.
Exactly.
And maybe they see somebody else is doing something and they think it's funny, or maybe they have a sibling that's doing something to them.
Right.
And then they think that that's normal, right? Mm-hmm. And then the next thing you know, they're going out and they're doing it because nobody was born a bully.
Right, exactly.
Nobody was born bad,
Mm-hmm.
And so now they've learned this somewhere.
And they feel power.
Because they're tearing down this other person.
Exactly.
So your daughter went ahead and just said to this girl, you're a bully.
The girl's name was Danielle. So she looked at her and said, you know what, Danielle, you're a bully. She said, and this girl was tall. My daughter's really small. She said, I turned around, I walked away, and she said, no, I'm not. It stopped. It never happened again.
So Danielle realized, wow, I'm participating in bully actions.
Yes.
That's not who I am.
And people don't want to be known as the bad person, as the bad kid.
Gosh, it would be so wonderful if that could happen every time.
Right, I know.
But so many kids are. I think some kids don't even care. In fact, I've read articles that there are parents that actually think that it's funny, that they're actually boasting with their friends, where they think it's funny that their kid like they don't say my kid's bullying other people,
right.
but they'll say, oh, well, that's what kids do,
yes.
and this is what they, you know, and oh, my kid did this, and isn't that funny, you know, and yeah, well, that's what kids do or whatever, and you know, and I remember like reading an article about this, you know, and I was like, wow, these people don't even realize.
Right.
I mean, it's not fun. There's nothing funny
No.
about your kid tearing down somebody else, because and that, you know, what that usually means to me is that the parent is a bully.
Right. I think a lot of the times that's what it means.
Yeah,
It is.
And sometimes they don't even grow out of it. You know, like, I mean, you do it when you're a kid. I've had people that I've talked with that they were a bully when they were a kid, and now they actually want to donate to, you know, to some of the projects that I'm working with my Junga character.
Right.
Because they feel like this is their way of giving, like making amends.
Right.
You know, like, geez, I was a bully for all these years and I hurt these kids. I don't want to reach out to these, or try to find these kids to apologize, which some do.
Right.
But that also, if they were to somehow get involved, either be on my show or donate to some cause that's an anti-bullying cause, that's their way of making amends.
That's the way, to saying I'm sorry.
Say you're sorry.
I never should have been doing this. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
I remember I picked on this one kid once. Okay, me. Right, and I was a kid that was getting picked on a lot.
Yeah.
But I saw other people picked on this other kid even more. Right. And there was something wrong with this kid, right? There was something, he wasn't quite right. Like mentally, you know, he wasn't exactly on par with everybody else. And I remember like, you know, hitting him one time, you know, in class. He sat right behind me and he was annoying. I will say that. I mean, he was annoying. So he kind of brought some attention to himself, right?
Right.
But I had no right to hit him. Right. You know, but I did. I turned around one time and I just hit him, and I remember him going like this and defending himself, right? But that was it. But do you know that it still haunted me that I did it? That just that one time. It still haunted me that I did it for many, many years. And one day, like, I don't know, 5-6 years ago, I saw his obituary, right? And I'm like, oh, it's like, oh, that was that kid that one, you know, that one time. And I got like an email address. Somebody within our school gave me his sister's email, and I sent her a nice email apologizing. Not, you know what? I don't know if it did anything. She never replied. I don't know if it did any good or not. But for me, at least, it made me feel good that I apologized very nicely, and I said, I'm so sorry for the loss of your brother. I just feel awful that I did this one time, but he really was a nice kid, and and so you're seeing kids that are used to being bullied and used to being picked on, and they have these terrible home lives because they don't have a home. Right. And you are offering this little piece of hope and glimmer for these kids, and I applaud you for that.
Thank you.
And I'm so glad that we're in these same circles of people, because we're all helping each other. We have to wrap up the show now, but I want to ask you, for our viewing audience, some of them are kids, most of them are adults, but what kind of advice would you give to our viewers when it comes to ending the vicious cycle of bullying, or what can they do to help kids out?
I think one of the most important things that we can do for society is to teach our children to be kind. Be kind. It's just as simple as that.
Be kind.
Be kind, yes.
Cool. Well, I think that everybody has that within them, and sometimes we just need to remind each other.
Right.
And like your daughter did, point it out to somebody. Look, what you did, like the kid could come home at the end of the day and tell their mom something, and you can say, what you did is bullying. So let's just be more top of mind awareness. Hey, thanks so much for coming on to the show. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thanks
for what you're doing.
Oh,
I love this.
My pleasure.
Absolutely.
Thanks everybody for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you again on Tako Talk.